Hey there, YouTube. How's it going? Zack here again. I was just watching some videos on YouTube and I felt compelled to make a video about this just because it's something I feel very strongly about. You have an interesting world out there when it comes to the internet. It's a lot like our world that we have in real life, but it's a lot more exacerbated because you have all the anonymity of being nameless and being rather pictureless if you choose to, and that has a lot of good things going for it, but it also has a lot of really shitty things going for it. Sorry, this may contain some hardcore swearing, but just bear with me here. Um, it seems to me that more and more YouTube channels are disabling their comments. Um, a lot of people have literally raged against this. Like I've seen people like just go up in arms about this, feeling like they're being censored or that it's not allowing you know free letting the public forum theory of the internet actually take its course, which I do agree with to a certain extent, but I don't personally get up in arms about it because what you got here also, like I said, is that the internet is a very weird place. It's like a it's very real. It's very much like our real world, but at the same time there's a lot of shit, my phone just went off. There's a lot of weird, almost like caricature like or cartoony elements to it as well too, where it's just like people, a lot of it's like being in traffic but permanently, where it's just like you never know somebody's true intentions until you get into traffic with them, and then you hear, "Get out of my way, fuck you, this and that, blah blah, I own the road," and people tend to let out, whether they're a little bit more selfish or not, and I agree that I'm part of that too. My personality changes when I'm on the road too, and I can be an asshole. But I'm very upfront with it, and I usually try not to. And if I'm being an asshole, you know, for no reason, I would expect somebody to kick my ass into gear and be like, "Hey, you're being an asshole." And I have no problem with taking accountability for my actions, which a lot of people honestly don't like to do. They feel like no matter what, their opinion is their opinion, and oh, they can't be wrong, and it's this untouchable thing. Opinions are just like anything else, man. It's true what they say about opinions. They're like assholes. Everyone has them, and most of them stink. That's just the way it is. I have some really shitty opinions myself too, but most of the time I keep it to myself. And if I do feel like those opinions need to be aired out, then that's what I get for putting out in the public forum. Is I get subjected to trolls, I get subjected to assholes, but then again I also get actual real life conversations about things that I would not normally be able to have that connectivity with, because in the real world, most of the time you have to put on a face. There's a certain amount of fakeness in the real world just because you have to be a certain way in order to be a part of society. That's part of the social contract. Whereas that doesn't necessarily exist in cyber world here, which once again has good and bad points. All the most important part is that it is what it is. The internet is the internet. Welcome to the 21st century, folks. However, the whole thing is that for me, I personally don't like the idea of disabling comments, because for me, just the fact that we can be so interconnected, that's what makes the internet so beautiful to me, is that you can talk to somebody literally around the world, you know who barely speaks your language, and you don't even blink an eye at it. Whereas before, you tell somebody that 100 years in the past to be like, "Are you on drugs?" That'd be considered like a fairy tale thing, or at the very least science fiction. It'd be something that Jules Verne would have wrote about. And there's things that people have wrote about it, where basically people live in this kind of interconnected, sort of almost telepathic sort of world, which we kind of do on the internet. We don't actually speak to each other on the internet unless we have Messenger or YouTube like we're doing now, and yet we can tell anybody what we're thinking at once. And that's crazy. That's mind-blowing, and that may seem naive, but you can't lose that sort of naivety, in this world, because there's a lot of things that are super amazing that we just kind of take for granted. You know, granted, a lot of people getting bored that's what makes people want to progress, and that's always good. And progression is always the necessary movement of life. You don't want to regress; you want to progress. But at the same time, it's just I always feel very strongly about never losing that kind of childlike wonder, and whimsy about the world, because even though the world does suck to a certain extent, there's so many amazing things. There's so many amazing people. And yeah, there are assholes, but at the same time, do you really want to spend your time with them? No. It's just like an asshole coming to your door. You don't have to let them in. We let people, we close our doors on people who aren't even assholes. We have some religious people that, they may be very nice people, but at the same time, just because we know they're here to sell us something and to talk with us about something, we're just like, nah, we're good, and just close the door, and that's that. But at the same time, the closest thing that everybody thinks, I guess, we have to that is disabling YouTube comments. And I think that's a good... Yeah, I think, once again, that's sort of it is what it is situation. But for me, personally, it's not something I would ever do. Because even though there are trolls and, obviously I am small time, I hardly have any views on my channel or anything like that. I'm still using a shitty camera phone to film my things, and obviously my videos aren't in HD quality yet, because I'm just starting out. Any videos that I put up on the internet have been kind of scattered, and I do want to change that, but with that, you get the good and the bad. And for me, the good of comments and the connectivity far outweighs the bad. Just because, say like this, I'm going to shamelessly plug a video here. I'm sure a lot of you internet game nerds out there have, seen Gang Grumps or Ego Raptor, Aaron Hansen. He does a lot of videos, most popular have been the sequelitis videos, which I still watch on a regular basis because there's a lot of things about game design that I do find fascinating, even though that's not my chosen field. It's an interesting thing to dabble in. But at the same time, once again, it's one of those things where you take the good and the bad with it. Even some of the most, top viewed videos, people just go there because they want attention and all that stuff. But I'm sorry, I'm rambling on here, kind of getting back to the point here. There's a lot of things out there where, it would be hard to actually connect and get these circle of like-minded individuals or people that take the same interests as you. It's a lot harder to find that kind of stuff in real life because, you deal with ego, you deal with personality conflicts, you deal with, the facade that people put on in the public image, for lack of a better word. Sorry, I'm a little bit of an idiot. Anyways, just the fact that I find so many things interesting, and even though my friends, they're very, open-minded about things, and we can talk about certain things, but we can't always talk about everything that I always find interesting, because A, I would dominate the conversation, and that's no good, or B, other people just don't find it as interesting as I do, because I kind of dwell on things. I don't know. I always gotta nitpick and see how things work, and find out those sort of things. And I'm always that kind of person that likes to tear things apart a little bit. Anyways, so it's hard for somebody like me in real life to always gather a group of people to actually have conversations like that. And on the internet, it's just the snap of a finger, You go onto a forum and you just say, hey, I want to have a conversation about this. And then you get people that are like, oh, you're gay, go suck a dick, go fuck yourself, blah, blah, blah. But then at the same time, you have people that you can actually connect with and have a really interesting conversation. And you expand your mind and you learn new things and your world becomes enriched by the people that you meet. That's one of the great things is that, why the internet is so important, like real life is, that people don't understand, is that you can meet somebody, you don't even have to see their face, but you can meet somebody and you can wonder how your world was ever the same before you ever met that person. You have that connectedness. Your lives get enriched by the people that you meet. even sometimes by the trolls, because even though it's kind of a old school mentality, sometimes it's one of those what doesn't kill you makes you stronger sort of things. But only certain people can do that, because some people are very sensitive, and some people can't deal with that. And I'm not saying that's a bad thing. It just says it sucks, because most people, they're like, oh, who gives a shit if they're sensitive? They should learn how to be. Blah, blah. It's like, no, go fuck yourself. Everybody's individual, and everybody has the right to be exactly who they are on the internet. That's the great thing, is that we don't have to have that public facade on the internet. It's nice to have manners. I'm not saying don't have manners. I'm just saying it's nice to be able to have an intelligent conversation. It's nice to be able to find somebody to really expand your mind with. Anyways, if I keep going on this video, I'm going to ramble even more and more, and it's going to get redundant. So that's what I had to say about it. I will never disable my YouTube comments, just because when people do actually want to comment on anything like that, I will just be glad to be able to have a enlightening conversation with somebody who wants to actually have a conversation like this. And I'm sure there's a young dude or a young lady out there who's like, I don't get along well with people in real life, and they may be dicks, I'm not judging, but at the same time, they just may find it hard to connect with people. And the internet allows a certain amount of freedom, and it allows you to have a fully, drawn out and, fully dimensional life without having to deal with the cumbersome ideas of what society places on you. And that's good for anybody. That's the reason why I can get off my ass and into a chair and make videos for people. They may not be the greatest, but eventually I'll get better. And it'll be a journey. And if people want to tag along for the journey, then I'll be more than grateful and welcome aboard. Feel free to ask any questions for me. And for this, at least personally for me, I'm usually very open. I can be very private in my real life, just because, once again, kind of the public image. But at the same time, if somebody asks me a question, they're legit about it, and they really want to know, and they express that interest, I'll be an open book with them. I'll tell them whatever they would like. So that's my invitation to you, is that, if, you have something to say, go ahead and say it, even if you're an asshole. I'll tell you you're being an asshole, but at the same time, if you have something to say, go ahead and say it, We're all part of the human experience, and we all need to understand that. On that note, I'll go ahead and let you guys be. It's been 13 minutes already. All right, YouTube, take care.